Yeah, 40, yeah.
40, okay. Ah. Okay. You two take turn to pray for us. What's one of you guys to pray? Yeah. Hallelujah.
Lord, I thank you for this time that we get to gather together and learn about you. Lord, I pray that our hearts and minds would be open to retaining information and understanding.
Which page?
I pray that we would be willing to ask questions and seek for answers. I thank you for Emmanuel and that you give him your wisdom, that you can teach it to us. I pray that you would bless each life as we continue to seek after you and grow closer to you. I thank you for everything that you've done for us. And for these things in your name.
Amen. Anybody add your book for Kayla especially? Kayla, you can read with me if you want. So, yeah. Okay. Anyway, you're close to me. You can hear me very clear. Okay. So yeah. Okay. This recording will be published again. You can review it as well.
All
Okay.
Right,
so
thank you.
yeah. So we on this book called Confucius by the Penguin Classics. In the introduction section, we're on page 40. If you turn with me to the end chapter, you will find we'll get there. 62, this is long. No, 55. So this is a long introduction. We still have 15 pages to go. Hopefully 2 sessions will get done. Okay, so in order to move forward, I'm going to be fast-paced reading, and as necessary, pause here and there, and the stops. And sometimes board Noah's help to read with us. So Noah, can you help me to time a little bit? Let me see. I can do 5 pages today, then the rest belong to you, okay? So 40 page starts at the beginning. Obviously in the middle of a talk, Confucius' thoughts. For Confucius, a perfect goodness was more important than perfect beauty. Whether a piece of music is acceptable or not depends on its moral quality. Perfect beauty is important because it is the only appropriate vehicle for conveying perfect goodness. But it's perfect beauty music that one can listen with joy, but it's only when perfect goodness is fused with the perfect beauty that joy can be experienced, which goes beyond our expectations. 7.14, this book. The master heard the show in Qi, and for 3 months did not notice the taste of the meat he ate. Meat is rare in those days. He said, I never dreamt that the joys of music could reach such heights. And the 3月而不知肉味啊. Okay. For 3 months, he don't know the taste of meat. And that's how absorbed he was in this beautiful piece, show music, which is performed by Qi. A music in those days cannot be performed because you don't have the symphony, you don't have the people grouped together, no many people able to get a chance to play music. Music requires instruments, you can imagine. It has to be very rich and specialized occasions, and not like today, everything's populated, every access. Those days, it's a rarity, so often performed in congregate way is for court occasions. So you don't have the chance to even listen to it unless you access to the court. On this occasion, Confucius was heard this piece of music was rarely performed and performed by this band of musicians together in the high court of a kingdom. So he heard it is so beautiful. I mean, can you imagine? Never heard symphony before, suddenly heard a symphony, so. Yeah. Well, it's not an accident that the music that enthralled Confucius should be precise to show that he praised for its perfect goodness as well as its perfect beauty. When they perform music those days, they might come with dancing, okay? Just you know. When asked how the stage should be governed, Confucius said, as for music, adopt the show and the woo, banish the tunes of Chen, Zheng, and keep plausible men at a distance. The tunes of Zheng are wanton and plausible men are dangerous. Zheng Yin means music sensual, not necessarily formal, and not necessarily healthy, basically. He further said, I detest purple for displacing vermilion. What that word means, even. I had no idea. Anybody? Huh?
It's a color.
It's a color. Okay. Evidently confused colors, you know. So, I detest the tunes of Chen Zheng for corrupting classical music. I detest clever talkers who overturn states and noble families. Today that become a norm, right? Sorry. So, I heard that Argentina just got use a chainsaw to during the propaganda. You know, to chainsaw everything down. What kind of mindset? I mean, literally, a politician used a chainsaw to in the gathering. And people would hear, are you lost your mind? It's modern day man, just don't think straight. Hope that guy don't put the chainsaw on your neck. So, sorry. There is no doubt that Confucians detested the tune of Zheng. But it did so not because the lack of beauty, but because of the wantonness. It should be noted that each wantonness basically is a want more, corrupted taste basically. It should be noted that each of the things Confucius detested bore a superficial resemblance to the proper thing. It because this superficial resemblance that the species can be mistaken for genuine. The genuine, Confucius' abhorrence is directed against its spuriousness. The tunes of a gem are grouped with the clever talkers and plausible man. What does plausible man know? It means people appease to. I think I have a Duber's character basically. Okay, so I'm not so sure.
Well, that act kind of in a utility-like way, kind of pragmatic.
Pragmatically. Okay. So let me write this word down since I know plausible man. Plausible. Okay. Plausible man. Okay. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. I think that's right. These people are capable, or this set of things, are capable of warming their way into our favor if we are not on our guard. They are then not unattractive as music. In the end, it is not the lack of beauty, but the lack of goodness that marks the kind of music typified by the tunes of Zheng. The tunes of Zheng certainly not refer to the music alone. What is said about the tunes apply to the words as well. The wantonness. Wow. Okay. Wantonness, right? So, being as much as in the meaning of the words as in the lure of the music. Lure means appealing, okay? So, or enticement. In contrast to the tunes of Zheng, we found Confucians praising the Guanchu, with which the eyes opens. Guanchu. Very difficult to say to you guys if you don't know Chinese. So you have this set of a collection about the 300 about poems, but actually it's lyric for music, gathered from different places in the Zhou dynasty, okay, Zhou dynasty. And this is one of the classics. One of the things that Confucius teaches actually teaches this collection of poems. This collection of poems started with one poem, so it will call it poem number one, if you will. Right? So it's called the Guanzhi. So called the Guan Guan Zhui Ji Zai He Zi Zhou啊，我叫顺义并好球。So sorry then, but so let's look at it. What it's trying to say. It shows that it was not the expression pleasure as such, but the expression of immoderate, or in the Guanzhu there is joy without wantonness, sorrow without self-injury, 哀而不伤. Okay, so 悦而不淫，哀而不伤. I think that's what it said. So basically, you have happiness, but don't go through the boundary. You know, like have a good drink, enjoy, have fun, but don't get drunk. So that's like nature. Have moderation, basically. You have sorrow, you express certain kind of sadness, but not in a way that hurt yourself. So sorrow so much that broken. So is that making sense to you? So the moderation is an interesting way to, like the Bible talks about soberness, self-control. Often think soberness against a certain indulgence, like drunkenness, don't do this. That's not the soberness the Bible said. Soberness is not against things, okay? Merely. Soberness as a more keep yourself in a state that you don't lose your emotions, don't lose your personality. Is that making sense to you? We have different ways for property words. That's the words abused again. So yeah, free will is not free will to do what you want, but the free will to offering yourself to God. You have to make a decision, volunteer for that. So those words have a huge confusion with the discourse lead on being, the words in the Bible, but we use it for our own context. So anyway, let's move on. This showed that it was not the expression pleasure as such, but the expression of immoderate pleasure. There was a reason for Confucius' condemnation of the tune of Zheng. So this certain kind of music is basically like today's essential, appealing to indecent desires of man. By contrast, the Guanzhu is an example of the expression of pleasure, the sorrow, is exactly the right measure. Okay, right measure. Okay, Confucius has seen this collection of called the 1300啊，1300约450 ，OK， 450 ，OK。Si means salt. Salts. Okay. Wu means no or not. She means waywardness. Waywardness. Or, as you said, wantonness. Okay? Wantonness. So, 是不是 means pure heart. Okay? So if you think about it, not a negative tune, but negative, but positive is a pure heart, basically. So these poems are written and sung by a pure heart, so not intended to defile anybody or entice anybody, just rather were decent, innocent people talking what they went through in life, So it's the song, it's a similar in the book of the Bible. You can see they were pure, so they're pure. Okay, let's move on. Confucius summed up his view on poetry in the following words: the arts. Oh, there we go. That's actually talking about that. So this is what the he said. The arts are 300 in number. They can be summed up in one phrase: swerve not from the right path. 四无限. Don't deviate from the wrong path. Edification, however, is not the only purpose with which poetry serves. Among these other things, the arts may serve to stimulate the imagination. When reading poetry, one becomes alive. This is poetry appreciation, but Confucius' idea for what is good poetry is and its appreciation. When reading poetry, one becomes alive to the underlying similarity between phenomena which to the unimaginative appear totally unconnected. Zixia asked. That's one of Confucius' disciples, Zixia. Her intrinsic smile deeply, this is a poet quoting, her beautiful eyes glancing, patterns of color upon plain silk. Okay. What is the meaning of these lines? The master says the colors are put in of the white. In the ancient days, they also had different dresses. And you can imagine in old days, they don't have the chance to dye colors. It's not poor man's dress, basically. It had to be noble ones able to afford to have a colored dress, have different garments layered on top. And then when you dress, like in the Bible, you dress in a certain protocols. So you dress as modest or try to allure others, especially women. So it's very important to dress in a way that is noble and proper. Is that making sense to you? So I used to study a poem, help translate a poem to correct people's understanding of this word poem. So in ancient time, so we a queen or the kukupang dress is word proper. So they must show the character of the king. So not like modern day indulge or later day in China, similar corrupted. So they must be a model to the nation. A good wife, a good king must be a good father and a good mother in a sense. So they're supposed to be a model, especially in terms of how they dress to the nations. So Chinese are very careful with that. They have those many things. Other places 高一丈 means 高一级 means this high, right? So if the people wear hands on this height, others might make it higher. So pay attention, don't encourage those tendencies, basically. Much unlike today's fashion, fashion is a concept started the French Revolution, French monarchs, and then the monarch is the one indulged before the revolution. And the whole nation bear down, but that trend will never depart. Today you have a chair, have an armchair. Do you know that chair where it came from? The way you dress, the way you sit, that's all invention French. Have a table that height to do meetings, sitting like that. He tried to, basically the guy made that throne for the king, that I can make this for others. So he began to populate the idea every day making chairs like the king wanted, because it's a throne. It was a throne. It was not supposed to be. Not that everybody's supposed to see like that. It's all, okay, so, but it populated, then when the American come around, they borrowed that as mass industry, and then started the whole fashion, how you sit together. You would think sitting by this table, sitting in the room like this, sitting on this high table, it's a started Asian time. It's not true. It's started with this fashion. Everybody began to copy it. So we have designed the whole furniture. Then with the furniture, we divided or designed how we interact with each other, how we sit down at the dinner table, how we meet together today, how we meet together. All decided with one design. That somebody wants to sit in a certain kind of chair. and become popular. Everyone wants to sit down chair. So we develop culture, interaction with it. So we think other cultures within that sit together is strange. No idea. Actually, this is a strange idea. Started in the 1600, 1700 rather, maybe even later than that. So 1800, I'm sorry. So it's only, it's not modern, but the invention of the relation days start with the French, the fashion. When the fashion, Louis XIV said, I want to see like this. So is that making sense to you? So trained to study where it came from. It's very interesting where it came from. Everybody had to eat bread with yeast. And it's good, but where it came from? That's from Egypt. So yeah, you need to learn a little bit history. More than study politics, study culture, where it came from. Where the spices came from? Where the Silk Road came from? The spice trade inspired Columbus, to try to search the land for spice, so for gold for sure, but for spice most likely. The spice was so expensive. The black pepper we sometimes every day use it, every meal almost, we use to be more expensive than gold. Yeah. Potatoes, it was talking tomatoes, okay? It was a decorative thing. Everybody, because it's so colorful, so red, everybody believes it's poison. This is a European noble young man. He said, I'm going to try it. He wrote his last will. So, hey. And he, boom, take one, eat it. He's pretty good. So he didn't die. So that become everybody began to plant it. Use it as a decoration. So you can plant it. So everyone eat it now. It become a fashion. So quickly become popular. As some right now become a staple meal. Without which you don't have pasta. Think about it. Pasta is after that every day. Is that making sense to you? So you read the history, it's very funny to look at history from different angles. And I want to tell you, that's how wise man look at things. So the Confucius, he's not talking about the clothes here. He's talking about the certain culture, how people in that set of culture, how they behave. So that's recorded in the poetry. And they want to study that poetry where that came from. Why it is even reflecting poetry is more than for beautiful poetry, poetic expression. It tries to describe some culture phenomenon and cultural norms or abnormality. So do it some kind of cultural inference. That's what Confucians try to read into the poetry. They try to learn how the Asian people in ways how to appropriate and appreciate culture today. Is that making sense to you? How you dress? You don't talk about dress particular, but how you dress in the sense to be a decent person. How you appreciate one another's beauty in a free way and undefiled, in an innocent way. So is that making sense to you? That's important. So Confucius don't want to encourage this false appreciation that a pure beauty, pure propriety be deteriorated. He want to uphold the standard. He want to inaugurate the respect for the cultural norms, that innocence, true beauty, true propriety can be the state for a greater people. Am I making sense to you? I don't want to get into the details. So let's move on. Just a little bit into the nitty-gritty. So we'll pass on with us the things that are all the poetry thing. Now fast forward in 42 chapter, 42 page, we on the last paragraph, the third paragraph, there is a good example of this manner of willed speaking in analytics. This, for instance, 宽魁 这上了读个零了为卫灵公 Okay, that is fled to Qi after an unsuccessful attempt the life of 南祖 Wow, this is terrible. So the notorious wife of the father. Okay. Huh. I had no history there, so okay. Forget about it. It's terrible. So okay. Get into my details. Now let's see in the next page 43, page 43. Now in the fourth paragraph so far. That's we're in the middle of the page. So far, we have only looked at the moral teachings of Confucius in connection with the ideal of the gentleman. That's worth to note. That's the big session, a moral teachings. Connection with his ideal of the gentleman or the righteous man. This, however, another side to the teaching which has been largely neglected by scholars who wrote about Confucians. Okay, from there I'm going to have Noah read because it's a start a totally new direction here. So Noah, go ahead.
This is his concern with what might be described as matters of method.
Okay, can you bring this to him so we can record?
At the heart of this aspect of his teaching is the opposition between, how would you best pronounce these two words?
Opposition of 学
Xue and Su.
Terrible, terrible.
学 and Su.
Yeah, so awkward. Sorry for anybody in the world. SSU? What in the world? Go ahead. 学
Xue and Su. Before we can see the significance of this opposition, we must first of all find out what constituted learning. A brief look at the difficulties one encounters in translating the word zu, 学, will prove illuminating. The natural choice in English for an equivalent is the verb to learn, but very often one is forced by the demands of the English language to use to study instead. For this reason, the reason is this. The verb to learn needs an expressed object. For instance, we do not say he learns. We can, of course, say he learns quickly, or he is willing to learn. But these are special cases where the focal point of the sentence is not in the word learn. We do, on the other hand, say he studies. There is, however, another difference between learning and studying. We tend to learn some things, but study others. For instance, a child learns to walk, but an entomologist studies the behavior of ants. We learn something practical. We study something theoretical. In learning, the focus is on the learner. In studying, the focus is on the subject. In learning something new, a man improves himself. He either acquires a new skill or becomes more proficient in an old one. In studying, a man acquires new knowledge, but this new knowledge need not make any difference to him as a practical man. This difference in usage between learn and study is relevant to the understanding of xue. Xue is much closer to learning than to studying. Like learning, xue makes a difference to a man as a person. It is an activity that enables a man to acquire a new skill or become more proficient in an old one. But in the Confucian context, the most important point to remember is that xue enables a man to become a better man morally. Thus, morals, in the Confucian view, are akin to a skill. They can be transmitted from teacher to pupil. It is because of this possibility that Confucius placed so much emphasis on xue. Although learn is much more satisfactory, an equivalent for xue, than study, an attempt to keep rigidly to the use of learn can itself give rise to difficulties. When, for instance, Confucius talks about xue shi, it is natural to render this as to study the odes. But this, as we have seen, changes a practical activity to a theoretical one. Yet to render the phrase as to learn the odes suggests learning the odes by heart. Though this certainly is part of the meaning, it definitely is not the whole or even the most important part of the meaning. As we have seen, the main purpose of xue shi is both to improve one's sensibility and to enable one to use lines from the odes to convey one's meaning in veiled terms. Thus, sometimes the translator is hard put to find a suitable equivalent for shui. Learning is concerned with the accumulated wisdom of the past. Although this does not exclude theoretical knowledge, the emphasis, as is to be expected, is on moral insight. Moral insight is mainly epitomized in the form of precepts. The rites were, of course, a code of just such precepts. There must also have been precepts falling outside this code. That the rites formed a major part of what one has to learn is confirmed by two passages in the Analects. In the first one, Confucius says, "Unless a man has the spirit of the rites, in having courage he will become unruly, and in being forthright he will become intolerant." However, in the other, he said, "To love forthrightness without loving learning is liable to lead to intolerance." The two sayings are practically identical, except that in one we have the rites, while in the other we have learning. If it plays such an important part in Confucius' teaching, why is it that learning does not figure more frequently in the Analects than it actually does? This is because learning is not the only term that is used for the activity. Very often Confucius uses wen, to hear, and very occasionally jian, to see, instead. In particular, hearing is used where the learning of specific precepts is concerned, or where learning is contrasted with putting into practice what is learned. Here are examples of having been taught a specific precept. The master said, "I have heard it said, a gentleman gives to help the needy and not to maintain the rich in style." Chen Su-pai said, "I have heard that the gentleman does not show partiality. Does he show it nevertheless?" Zuxia said, "I have heard it said, life and death are a matter of destiny. Wealth and honor depend on heaven." Confucius said, "What I have heard is that the head of a state or a noble family worries not about underpopulation, but about uneven distribution, not about poverty, but about instability."
Those statements are huge impact on Chinese politics, okay, as a nation. Okay. One of the reasons being attributed to Chinese lack of entrepreneurship and rentals, so stagnated, causes the downfall in modern days. So it's mindsets.
So you answered. Some.
Yeah.
So you.
Okay.
"Some time ago I heard it from you, master. The gentleman instructed in the way loves his fellow men, and that the small man instructed in the way is easy to command."
Small man, gentle man, in contrast, much like in the proverb said, the wise man and the one a fool, am I right?
Zulu said, "Some time ago I heard it from you, master, that the gentleman does not enter the domain of one who in his own person does what is not good."
What that means, no one, can you explain to me?
Oh, you're asking me.
The gentleman does not enter the domain.
I mean, it reminds me of.
Oh, the domain is the kingdom.
That's what I was about to say. Is
Yeah.
that there's many cases in which there are men who are considered sages or people that followed the way, especially if they had a position of authority in the kingdom.
Yeah.
That there were cases in which men would continue to pursue the way and manifest the way in that kingdom, even when the kingdom was kind of degrading and becoming. It was ruled by bad people.
Yeah.
But there were others who would kind of roll themselves up, as it was put, and kind of seclude themselves during the rule of a bad person, even though they still followed the way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Chang said, That is different from what I have heard. I have heard that the gentleman honors his betters and is tolerant towards the multitude, and that he is full of praise for the good, while taking pity on the backward. The connection between hearing and putting into practice what one has heard is clearly brought out in the following passages.
This is why Jesus referenced as well, right? More than a teacher the word or hearing the word, but one putting in practice.
The Master said, "Use your ears, Win, widely, but leave out what is doubtful. Repeat the rest with caution and you will make few mistakes. Use your eyes, Chin, widely, and leave out what is hazardous. Put the rest into practice with caution and you will have few regrets."
Amazing. You talking about that? Let those have ear, let what? Let me hear. The eyes, let me see. You must have pair together. Hearing, seeing. Often in ancient times, wisdom teaching, you talk about tune up your human faculties, your senses, to depart from the things that are not worthy of your attention and concentrate on the things you need to concentrate on. So, yeah. There's a discipline there, had to be striking wide-eyed. So, you want to go on life. I'm really tired. My voice is just worth losing. I hear myself. And also try to be sleepiness. Sorry. But I hope you guys don't get sleepy. It's an exciting topic. So go ahead.
Before he could put into practice something he had heard, the only thing Toulouse feared was that he should be told something further. The Master said, "It is these things that cause me concern. Inability, when I am told what is right, to move to where it is." The Master said, "I use my ears widely and follow what is good and what I have heard. I use my eyes widely and retain what I have seen in my mind." Tsulu asked, "Should one immediately put into practice what one has heard?" The connection between learning and putting into practice what one has learned is a close one, because amongst the things one learns are precepts, and what would be the point of learning a precept if one made no attempt to put it into practice? Hence Confucius's concern over his inability to move to a new position as soon as he has learned that it is morally right, and Tsulu's fear of a backlog building up if precepts come at a brisker pace than he can cope with. But this does not mean that one should put a precept into practice simply because it is a precept.
Before we move on, let's think about this topic. This is very interesting topic. I want to, not me discuss about it, I want you guys to feel free to have some feedback on this topic. Hearing, learning, Confucius discussed from what it means to learn compared to study. So then talking about how to use your senses, represented by hearing and seeing things, and how to learn the right thing. And how to learn the right thing is actually to do with the practice, implied by the difference or included in the differentiation, what it means learning to study something. So let's think about this topic. Because it's huge. If you are students, you got to see the difference. Most students don't think about it. It's so important. If you figure this well out, you will change the way how you learn things, fundamentally. I have myself went through the period, there's an aha moment for me to recognize, it's not about merely acquiring information. Information is beautiful, it's attractive, important even. But if I cannot do nothing with or seldom think about with information, I can have uses for things. I think we're young, when we get in this flow of cultural interaction, call it, or education interaction. we always want to be able to teach something, tell people we know better, we know more, so. Very few people recognize that the whole interaction is built a little bit fluffy, right? So it's not really real knowledge, not real understanding. So because those who able to practice, they don't talk like that. The second, they able to really want to pass on solid things, they don't think that is the right vehicle or right sphere engagement to raise up solid students. My point is the academic world, the philosophical world, the world, especially in religious world, that's become an everyday thing, right? So it's very, very unrealistic. So in such things, in every society, there's some sort of tension about this, because that is appeal, So in Paul's day, Paul said, the Jewish people want science. But it's not just any science, Science like they believe by learning tradition, appealing to God, worship God in a certain way, God is going to come to them as in the day of Moses or Elijah. That's the science we're talking about. So it's not just any science. The science still built on a learning of a covenant, what it means to be a covenant people. So God can show up like before, So now then he said, the Greek want wisdom. Want some kind of new wisdom. If you know the Greek thoughts in Paul's time, you go to Athens on the way the mission trip, and the Athens, so the center of the Greek city, right? So Greek culture, think about those days, and they have this practice in the center of the park. They literally build this auditorium that anybody every Sunday, every day, not necessarily Sunday, a certain day, they're supposed to have somebody there to make a speech. So somebody from outside, especially, to tell us, you traveled here, can you share with us your story, what you saw, what other people look like, what other legends look like? That's why there's a lot of books was written for that purposes, so that the general public, it's like today's making movies, so you can read those stories. Many of the books today, in record, we treat as for purpose of almost like history. It's actually purpose for entertainment. So somebody have some information. It's a tradition to bring that that adventure to back home to back about it. General do that, traveler do that. Actually, Strabo is a great guy. When all the world tries to study, his ambition. Beginning of the world, his no world to tell everybody where the nation is, what are the people doing there. So he made maps of things. So we have this map, the earliest map of the known world in the Grecian culture. So my point is that this is a tradition. They won't have a certain kind of discourse, and that tradition is never departed from a human society. The longing to know more, to hear something new. But really, the things matter to everyday life. I like to watch a lot of movies, right? So, but what about to learn to be a good father? Different entertainment. so there you go. I like to watch a lot of movies talk about how to be a good father, or the tragedy to not have a good father. But very seldom I will have a solid book, which is very simple. Tell me the good father, I put in practice. In read all the tragedy or the lesson I think I learned from watching this movie. I will never be that father. Oh, I want to be this father. So good. And we how to do it. This is simple things, right? It's appealing to us. I'd rather watch 100 movies about how to be a good father and don't want to be a bad father. Rather than to concentrate on this book, take a little bit of time for me absorbing hard and put in practice what it means to be a good father. I'm just talking. Still today the cycle goes on. Most people have very easy access to the Bible or to something tell them how to be what? To be a good father. Don't tell me you don't know. But how many people even pay attention? But they have a lot of opinion. But that movie make good about the father figure or not. Or to critique the whole movie and the genre, maybe criticizing father or try to praise the father. I'm just talking about. They think they're helping culture. Now that's entertainment, however. It's not really interested to solve the fundamental problems. Fundamental problems. So is in learning. I want you guys to take what Confucius said here, not on the face value. This is a scholar. This is still a scholar. I'm sorry. So, have a lot of redundant writings. I don't like the way he writes. But it does draw some point, give some insights. It gives a systematic grasp what Confucius really thinking about things. On this point, with Noah just read to you, I want to hear some thoughts from you guys if you can. So have a discussion before we move on. So all the reading become redundant, so doesn't make us think. So from Naomi, come on, think about things.
Are we talking about the book in general or what Noah just read?
Noah just read, study, learning, how to absorb information, what it means to put in practice.
I think that's a great practice. Like, I guess in my own life, I've learned a lot of stuff and maybe not put it into practice.
Yeah.
And I think that is a better mindset to coming to or anything in life is to learn from it, even if it's a good or bad experience in life. But truly putting to practice even the ways of the Lord and hearing from Him and putting that into practice. But I don't think I have too much to share on that.
That's a good topic to think about, right? So, yeah. Really thinking about it because you're going to be a good student. You're going to be a student life.
I think it's even kind of like a relational thing too.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Lord or the teacher.
Yeah.
Like it's learning from them, but also putting into practice what they're teaching you.
That's right.
Is an honorable thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Give some solid observation, general, you understand. But when you take it deeper, what that means for you, so,
what it means for me?
Yes. Give me some examples, failure or successes.
Of what? Sorry, I'm a little
learning,
confused.
Practice.
I don't know. I don't really know.
Examples.
Examples.
Very good. That's important. Is that you need to think about it in practical terms.
Right.
Yeah. So everybody can come with good ideas, but we're much detached or distant ourselves when you put in practice. The beauty of this kind of reading is to bring you to a point you can practice it. You stumble, at least you know, oh my, that's the way how to look at this right now. Now I have a light to look to, and not totally in darkness. And stumble all over and never figure out what's wrong, what's going on. Maybe there's a pattern here. Maybe there's a parameter here. Maybe something I can look things, examine things totally from totally different point of view. And it's a role change first. Now students cannot be good students until you take ownership the thing you learn. The thing you take ownership. So does that make sense to you? Nobody can spoon feed you all the time. So if you have to be spoon fed, you might never able to walk. You might never able to survive on your own. But teaching and enable help is always to establish you, not in a prideful, independent way, but so you can discharge and rise up to a greater stature to be the fuller you, the better you, the capable you. Does that make sense to you? That take up something, this is given to me, but it's mine. It's not somebody to tell me what to do. It's somebody help me to enlighten me to do the right thing, that I can be a better me. Does that make sense to me? So my teaching, I hope, to change that gear, you guys. I'm not here interested to impart some knowledge, to show you what I know about things. I know a lot of things. I don't think you're a good audience for me to share those things.
Well, then, okay, I can definitely say that that's one thing I've learned from
Yeah?
these times.
Is that right?
Remember that one time when
Uh-huh.
you were finishing the meeting and I came and
Uh-huh.
told you just this realization that I had?
What's that?
Just about, us coming to, this time and any time that we have,
Yeah.
set apart.
Yeah.
Is that, the learning's more than just ourselves even.
Yes.
It's about what we can pass on to other people.
There you go.
Families and stuff too. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've definitely learned that from
That gear change is so powerful, right?
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
is.
yeah. It changes you how to be a student almost, and enable you. Oh, I'm just not learning merely to put on the shelf, so I know I've been there, done that. So rather, maybe the next thing I can help people with this. This is useful for me in my toolbox. So something I can do something about it. So more so for my own improvement. But for the next person, I help them to see things better, to guide them into a different way of thinking, thinking. Because it is in the business of change your thinking. That's always your struggle, because I don't want people to change my thinking, but what you think is about life. Life is about learning the proper way of thinking in the world. So that's always a contention. I think Western culture, like any culture, have this default. Don't teach people how to think. Well, that's young people what they need. So we have this, let them find their own self. Let me figure them out stuff. So that you can see the proposition is different than what the Bible proposed to us and Confucius proposed to us. That's why they take this subject of how to be a good student in great stride, a great examination. They want to highlight that. What it means to be a good student. Everybody has their own standard, almost. But there's some universal standard. What it means to be a good student. It means different thing for different teacher or different subject. Interesting. For example, you guys may pass the test of everything I taught in terms from the test. But I will not think you're a good student from my standard, okay? But I will think you're a good student as you put one of those things learned into practice. I see fruit. I see you begin to change your thinking. It doesn't matter age, by the way. The more your age, the other more like Andy's age, we're talking. So, but it might be slow to learn. So you're not a good student. Esther or Elijah or Pila's age, as tender age as they are, but see them, they're taking heart, right? And really take hold of it, like treasure it. Well, that's good. That's good. Now, Andy may next turn around to pass on exactly what I taught you. Word to word, thought to thoughts. But it's just a conduit of information. But it doesn't change his life. He doesn't practice. He doesn't wrestle with it. So it's blindly followed, blindly pass. I'm not joking. I'm just saying, without much apprehension and practice. Another one, wrestle is even disagree with me. I think Jesus is another way to do this. That's the process. Maybe that's the wrong proposition there. I like that. Because what? That means he wrestle with it. He want to put it in practice. And until you put it in practice, rather than could blindfold, you don't have those wrestle. You don't have those questions. But doesn't mean, okay, totally through the thing I taught, which is supposed to be right, good, that I don't need it. That's a different story. But at least he went through the evaluation process. Now when he passed on, he don't have to borrow my teaching method, my teaching point. he can teach from his own stock of experience or wisdom. But I can confidently say that's a better teacher than the one that's pass on the information for me. Now, I'm the student of the second kind, right? I don't borrow anyone's free work. You know, nobody has ever given me the free work. I break all the free work because I want my own way to think about things. You know, I want you guys to take the same kind of initiative. It's not pride. This is really be a good student of life. Be a good student of others. And it's definitely not dishonor your teachers, it's rather honor them, because your teacher don't want you to be lesser than them. Just mechanical pass on what they learn. The teachers want you to be better than them, right? To do things better than them. I mean, that's the best teacher. That's the right kind of teacher, rather. I am the right kind of teacher. Maybe not the best. Try to be the right kind. I want you to be the right kind of teacher. Yeah. So when I inspire discussing these things, I'm not saying you have a set of right answers. I want you to say, take that topic deeper. Take ownership of that topic. Pass on. What time is it? Do we have more time, or we wrap
Got
up?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay. As you share the bit, we'll wrap up here. So.
In relation to what Noah read, right?
Whatever you know, heart. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the idea of studying versus learning is kind of a cool one because I haven't really thought of them as necessarily a different thing.
Yeah.
But I like when it said studying or learning, you're learning something practical, and when you're studying something theoretical.
Mm.
And so it's kind of like when you're learning it, it's something that's like personal to you.
Mm.
It's something that is meaningful in your life. It's not distant, almost like when you're studying something, you know, you feel distant from it. You're learning about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't really, you're learning about it, but you don't know it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're learning it. You're not learning about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that's far away.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's close.
Mm.
And so just kind of thinking in general, like, you know, what am I learning in this class that is like that? You know, what am I actually learning rather than, I'm not just studying this book,
That's
I'm trying
right.
to learn.
Yes, yeah.
And I think this has a lot of good lessons, like just with overcoming self and benevolence in general, which I know this is not the only book that talks about that, but I think this is kind of a different perspective on those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also just, I don't know, I've just been learning, at least practically, of just faith in general. That's something that I've definitely been walking through, and I think it's something that is hard to practice practically,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely, it's needed. And so just really, it's having that trust day to day and having that faith day to day in the little things. You know, I think we have a lot of irrational things that we worry about. And I think in result of just really trying to practice that faith, you do find a peace just in everyday life. You know, a lot of the things that I would normally worry about, you know, they don't seem so bad anymore because I know who's in control.
There you go. That's a fruit, sir.
There you go.
Bless the Lord. Yeah. And Noah, any further comments? Take your time. Your mom is not here. She's supposed to be here, I guess.
She is. She's waiting for us to finish.
Oh, okay. Then you wrap it up. Yeah. But,
Yeah, I can pray for us.
wrap it up.
Okay.
So then share your thoughts before you pray. So. That's a free thought.
Yeah, I do have quite a few, but I don't want to extend the time too much.
Okay.
Well,
Well, how about this? You can think about it, talk about it, and share with them. Yes.
Do what now?
Make a notes, make a voice record, I share with them. Eddie do the same thing. This is such an important topic. You know, I want everybody share your thoughts. I don't want to write the essay, okay? Just share your thoughts, ponder on the thing, and sharing voicemail. You know, so everybody can listen. Have a further discussion. I don't do homework. This is homework. It's the first time we get to it, okay? Huh?
It'd be better for us to do that, or have a little bit of the beginning of next time to share.
Oh, that's
thoughts
good as
during our
well.
session.
Yeah. Let's do that. But I want to hear your thoughts. You have any?
Okay.
Shoot to me. I want to hear you guys. Okay.
Yeah, it is a really intriguing subject.
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
yeah. Why don't you wrap it up for us? Yeah.
Okay. Lord, we can absolutely see the application of this difference in our spiritual walk, and Lord, it is not just a helpful delineation, but one that is essential for us to grow spiritually, both in the way that we acquire knowledge and spiritual truth as individuals, and also in the way that we pursue and share that knowledge amongst ourselves. Or of course this is another way of saying that it is a thing that changes the way we perceive teaching. Lord, I think much of what defines a true student, one who learns rather than studies with a theoretical mind, is one who is applying the heart, being directed by a spirit of whatever subject is at hand. And Lord, in another way and from a different angle, this is the difference between approaching things merely with the mind and engaging with things on a higher level, on a higher plane. And Lord, we see too that this is, Lord, beyond a subject matter, but even a way that we come to engage in relationships. Lord, not in an attempt merely to understand people or understand you, Lord, but to be found in a godly economy and atmosphere of love, Lord, which of course we know is beyond mere affection, Lord, but we come to embody and naturally practice, Lord, principles of the way that we carry ourselves towards one another. And this enlightens our behavior and those that observe it. So Lord, may we be encouraged by this even as we continue through this book and learn in this class, truly learn in this class. I pray these things in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you, guys. Blessings.